Okay, on the happy birthday of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, the true source of joy and happiness of this earth, and the disseminator of the pure wisdom and the pure compassion for all beings. And let us see how much we can be more energized, more rigorously into the unfortunate truth and the studies, meditation and practice, group discussion and so forth. That His Holiness, what we are going to do is going to create this gift for His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And that what really pleases Him is that we do something virtuous, that we do something good, that we create harmony and the spirit of compassion, spirit of wisdom towards others. So this is what we are doing here, and let us try to make it even more rigorous today as a gift for His Holiness. So with that in mind, the three points to set a proper motivation. One, the refuge field. Number two, Bodhicitta field. Number three, the purpose of this practice. The refuge field. What to visualize and how to visualize. What to visualize, Bodhisattva, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Arya Maitreya, Arya Manjushri, Arya Bhagavatishvara, Arya Vajrapani, Arya Tara, Arya Geshe Damdul, Arya Samadhibhatra, Arya the Akasha Garbha, Arya Nagarjuna, Arya Deva, Acharya Buddhapalita, Acharya Nagabodhi, Acharya Chandrakirti, Arya the Arya Sangha, Acharya Vasubandhu, Acharya Dingnaga, Acharya the Dharmakirti, Bodhisattva Shanti Deva, Bodhisattva Shanti Rakshita, Acharya Kamadashir, and the Lama Silimba, Lama additionnaly Shri Jnana, and all the enlightened beings who you seek, beings, and in your own life, who you met as a source of inspiration for your practice of compassion, practice of wisdom of virtues. Just visualize all of these enlightened beings advance you. And how you visualize them, that makes the whole difference. Knowing how to visualize properly, that will simply multiply the purpose and the benefit several 100,000 times as compared to the one done with the same effort but without the inclusion of this skillful way of visualization. So what is the way of how to visualize it? Is visualize them, all these enlightened beings, like a very affectionate parent. And imagine that you come home demoralized after being bullied by the other children at school, and your parents, affectionate, loving parents, they're waiting there to embrace you, to love you, to take care of you, to give you embrace. Bodhicitta field. Visualize your two parents on the two sides, and all of them in love, including your children, and all of them sentient beings around you. Everyone here in the center, the human beings, the animals, the insects, the spirits, the Holy Ghost, the hell beings, the goddesses, all forms of lives here in the center, in France, in the world, in the Milky Way galaxy, and the entire universe. And how you visualize that, this makes the difference of your bodhicitta. Here you're the mother, and all of these lovely children. Your children, they're bound to fight with each other. The children, they are bound to cry for their own selfish interests and so forth. This is what samsara is. This requires your compassion. This requires your wisdom. This requires your attention and help. With this in mind, with the intense feeling of love and affection towards all beings, and visualize the beings they feel so comfortable to be with you, to see that they themselves are so special in your eyes. And the purpose of this practice is to awaken this treasure of ultimate happiness within you, which is also referred to as the Buddha nature, also referred to as the Tathagata Garbha. And this has the perfect purity, the purity which gives you total fearlessness and the infinite happiness. One, that's the reality, but why don't we see that? Why don't we see these qualities within us? We're full of fears, we're deprived of happiness. It's all because of that. This treasure is obscured by the defilements. Just as gold, when mixed with the soil, although the nature of the gold is to glow, but when mixed with the soil, you don't see it glowing. It doesn't mean that the gold is not there. Ordinary people may discard this, dump this mixture, but the gold experts will not dump this. Gold experts will treasure this so much because they see gold inside this. How do we know that there's gold there? The gold experts will remove the soil gradually, and the gold inside will start to glow. Likewise, each one of us, no matter who we are, no matter whether we're educated, uneducated, whether male, female, young, old, or from this country, that country, no matter who we are, we all have this, this equal share of the Tathagata Garbha, the Buddha. We all have the same share. We all have the same ultimate nature, purity, the treasure inside us. So as long as we don't uncover this, we'll always forever remain in fears and remain deprived of happiness. So for the first time, they having come in contact with the teachings of Bodhicittas, with the teachings of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and so forth. So we see that now we are so fortunate that at least I discovered, at least I heard that now. I do have an ultimate treasure happiness that needs to be unveiled. So to unveil the mental developments, we need to know what the nature of the mental developments is. And the mental developments is of two kinds, gross and subtle. The gross one referred to as the afflictive obscurations, the presence of which blocks us from achieving the total fearlessness, technically referred to as nirvana. And the subtle obscurations block us from achieving infinite happiness, which is technically referred to as total Buddhahood or full awakening. The gross one, afflictive obscurations, is of three kinds: contaminated karmas, afflictions, and the active seeds. And all these three, somehow from the 5 points that which we learned from Acharya Nagarjuna's text, miseries, contaminated karmas, afflictions, inappropriate attention, and the self-grasping ignorance, we see that somehow they are all connected with the self-grasping ignorance, either in the active state or in the subtle states. Active state is afflictive obscurations, and subtle state is the cognitive obscurations. In both cases, to overcome or to remedy these defilements, to remove the mental defilements, is by applying the opposite counterforce, the counterforce of this ignorance, which is a wisdom to know the reality. This wisdom, when driven by the force of renunciation, mere renunciation, it will take us to eradicate only the afflictive obscurations. Whereas with the same wisdom, if driven by the very powerful force of Bodhicitta, unconditional love to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings, supported by great compassion, and this will take us to eradicate all the mental defilements, including cognitive obscurations. So this whole purpose, finally, to sit for this retreat and to do the meditation, reflection and studies, is to activate the wisdom of emptiness, driven by the force of Bodhicitta, supported by great compassion, grounded on the renunciation. This is the whole purpose of this practice. With this mind, you inspire all sentient beings, and everyone is joining you, and all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, they are watching us. So with their mind, let's turn to page 3. And here's with great compassion, to taught them not the Dharma, to discover all the views, the Buddha Dharma, and here's with great compassion, to taught them not the Dharma, to discover all the views, the Buddha Dharma, and here's with great compassion, to taught them not the Dharma, to discover all the views, the Buddha Dharma, I hope Asanya Jolan Zogi Jonanda Chanju Madu Lani Gyasuchi Nagi Jinsogi Sonanki Jona Benchi Sangi Drupaisho Sanya Jolan Zogi Jonanda Chanju Madu Lani Gyasuchi Nagi Jinsogi Sonanki Jona Benchi Sangi Drupaisho Sanya Jalan Sogi Chonamba Chanchu Bandu Dani Gyatsuchi Nagi Jin Sogi Personanki Jola Penche Sangi Trubarasho. I go for refuge in enlightenment to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. I make recommendations for practice of giving and so forth. May I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until enlightenment to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my recommendations of practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my recommendations of practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Independent origination, there is no ceasing, no arising, no annihilation, no permanence, no coming, no going, no separateness, no sameness. I prostrate to the consummate Buddha, the supreme of all teachers, the one who taught his peace, which is the great adorations. I prostrate to the mothers of the hearers, the Bodhisattvas and the Buddhas, who to the knowledge of all these years, seeking pacification, complete peace, who to the knowledge of past causes was nothing, united to achieve the ends of the world, and who to the possession of omniscience, as subduous, expounding variety of teachings. The one who has transformed into the reliable guide, motivated by altars into the benefit sentient beings. The teachers, rather than protector, to you are my prostrations. The one who has eliminated the web of conceptualizations and is endowed with the divine bodies of the vast and the profound, who eternally shines for the further noble light ways, to you the Buddha I make prostrations. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate my full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings.
Shamana Yeswa Profound, peaceful liberation, free, clear, like an unconfronted, especially nectar like Dharma is discovered. Finding no one who can fathom this teaching, in silence I retire in the woods. Your natural thought and expression is the perfection of wisdom, which is ongoing, outsees and has nature's space, is open to apprehension of self-realized wisdom. We do the mark of the Buddhas for the 3 times our pain of his sins. All composite things in cause, all contaminated things of nature suffering, all phenomena of nature, emptiness and selflessness, transcending sorrow is peace. The Guru is the Buddha, the Guru is the Dharma, likewise the Guru is the Sangha. The Guru is the source of everything wholesome. I go for refuge in the Guru. By the sound of the vibrant drum of Dharma, you liberate all beings from miseries. I beseech you to kindly remain in deep teachings until the end of expansiveness and eons. The Buddha does not watch the negativity of dreams, nor does he remove their miseries by his hands. His spiritual realizations are not transferred to them. It is by teaching the truth of the suchness that the beings are liberated. With folded hands I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all who live in dreams to know. If you are attached to this life, you are not a spiritual practitioner. If you are attached to samsara, you have no renunciation. If you are attached to your own self-interest, you have no bodhicitta. If there is grasping, you do not have to reveal.
Okay, page 16. The front page of Subdivision Bush. So, page 19. Sun illuminating the truth for faith, praise to the 17 and masters. So here in second line, God of gods refer to Bodhicittas. Born from great compassion, aspiring to help all beings, God of gods, you have attained the savior state of abandonment and realization. You guide beings through the scope of dependent origination. O Buddha, sound speech and bound of humanity. And body of your feet, O Nagarjuna, most skilled in elucidating suchness, truth elaborations. May human sutras, the mother conquerors, through the profound reasoning of dependent origination, and according to the conqueror's prophecy that initiate the middle way, the supreme vehicle, and for the old Bodhisattva Arya the chief disciple of Nagarjuna, most alert and realized, who has crossed the ocean of Buddhist and non-Buddhist and existence, as a crown jewel among those who uphold Nagarjuna's treatises, and glory over the Pavita, who has reached the supreme adult state and who has clearly elucidated Nagarjuna's intent. The meaning of the their destination executed, their label. Employ your old master Kalachakra Viveka, most accomplished Pandita, who initiated the philosophical tradition wherein, while negating the extremes of truly existing things, harassing so forth, the who commonly verified knowledge and external reality. And glory O Chandra Kirti, who disseminated all the paths of sutras and tantra, the most skilled in teaching, who founded the past ancestors of the middle way. The union of appearance and antithesis spending truth by means of dependent origination that is near conditionality. And glory O Bodhisattva Shantideva, the almost skilled in beginning, except the fortunate spiritual trainings, exemplified from the spiritual wonders. To a multitude of reasoning and most profound paths. And glory O Master Albert Shantarakshita, who initiated the tradition of long dual middle way in accordance with the training's mental disposition. You have grasped the reasoning course of both middle way and logic, and you disseminated conquerors teaching in the land of snows. And glory at your feet, O Kamalashila, you who have explained excellently the stages of meditation of the middle way view, free of elaborations, and the union of tranquility and insight, according to the Sutra and Tantra, flawlessly elucidated the conquerors teaching in the land of snows. And glory at your feet, O Asanga, you who are sustained by Maitreya, were versed in disseminating excellent all Mahayana scriptures, and taught the vast path, and who, in all the conqueror's prophecy, initiated the tradition of mind only. And glory at your feet, O Master Vasubandhu, you who, while upholding the systems of 7 Abhidharma treatises as well as non-duality, illuminated the tenets of Vaibhashika, Saltantrika, and mind only. Foremost among them in Brahmacharya, and now there's the second omniscient one. And glory at your feet, O Dignaka, the logician, you who, in order to present the Buddha's way through evidence-based reasoning,
open 104 pages of the system of logic, and offer as a gift to the world the eyes of the creative intelligence. And glory at your feet, O loving Trinity. What Buddhism, not Buddhism, epistemology, brought conviction in all the profound and vast parts of Salvatiga, not only by means of reasoning. You are most versed in teaching excellent Dharma. I implore you to feed O Arya Bodhicittas, you who lit the lamp that illuminates the meaning of the ornament treatise, wherein the themes of the professional wisdom stemming from a Sangha and his brother were expounded, in accord with the people free of existence or non-existence. I implore you, O Master Haribhatra, who were prophesied by the conqueror as expounder of the meaning of Bhagavad and professional wisdom. You elucidated the excellent treatise on the professional wisdom of the three mothers, in perfect accord with the instruction of the Savior Maitreya. And glory at your feet, O Puna Brahma, most excellent in good integrity and scholarship, who having excellent distilled the intent of the 100,000 disciplinary teachings, expounded the individual liberation vows flawlessly, according to the traditional Sarvastivada school. And glory of your feet, O Shakya Brahma, supreme upholder of discipline, who reign over the treasure of the qualities of the three trainings, in order to disseminate the statements of your meditation for a long time. Your excellent expounded the meaning of the vast discipline treatises. And glory, O Jyotisha, you who having taught all the profound and vast traditions related to the words of the Buddha, within a framework of the path of the persons of three capacities, but the most kind master disseminated the Buddha's teaching in the land of snows. Having thus made it its most learned ornament to the world, an excellent source of wondrous and insightful teachings, whereby the soul of the mind becomes enlightened and free through the entreaty of name, with the mind unwavering and pure, by understanding the true truths of the ontological reality with an absolute power. There is born of valid reason. May I be blessed so that the root of the path of liberation is firmly established within me. May I be blessed to perfect the training of renunciation and aspiration for liberation, the total pacification of suffering and its origin, as well as in an uncontrived bodhicitta that is rooted in an infinite compassion that wishes to protect all sentient beings. May I be blessed so that I may easily develop conviction in all the paths pertaining to the profound cause of the profession and what of the eagle. By engaging in study, reflection, and meditation on the meaning of the treatises of great 12 blessings, may I all life of life obtain excellent births that support the three trainings and contribute to the teachings that equal the great 12 blessings. In upholding the disseminating teachings on the scripture and realization, through engaging in exposition and meditative practice, may the members of all spiritual communities spend their time in learning, reflection, meditation, shining your livelihood through the provocations of like masters in the great face of the earth be beautified throughout all time. Through the power of this supplication, may I traverse all the paths of Sutra and Tantra, and simply attain the state of conquerors of missions, characterized by spontaneous realization of the true purposes and work for the welfare of sentient beings as long as space remains. Heart Sutra, page 29. I proceed to the other tradition. Thus very at one time, the Buddha was dwelling on Master Bhaja's mountain in Rajagiri, together with a great community of monks and a great community of Bodhisattas. At that time, the Buddha was absorbed in concentration on the categories of phenomena called profound illumination. Also, at that time, the Bodhisattva Mahasatma Arabhagavitishvara wrote upon the very practice of the profound illumination of wisdom, and beheld those five aggregates also as entering in nature. Then to the power of the Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said this to the Bodhisattva Mahasatma Arabhagavitishvara: how the initial lineage who wishes to practice the activities of profound professional wisdom train. He said that, and the Bodhisattva Mahasatma Arabhagavitishvara said this to the Venerable Shariputra. Shariputra, any son of the lineage and daughter of the lineage who wishes to practice the activities of profound professional wisdom should look upon it like this correctly and repeatedly, beholding those five aggregates also as empty in nature. Form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form, form is also not other than emptiness. They have same great feeling, discrimination, composite characters, and consciousness empty. Shariputra was all phenomena are empty, without characteristics, unproduced, unseen, seeingness, not without sin. There is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no competent no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no vision form, no sound, no smell, no taste, no object, no touch, no phenomenon. There is no life, so no time, no mental consciousness. There is no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance, and so on. No aging is death, no extinction of aging is death. There is no ignorance, no operation, no existential is found. There is no intelligence, no impediment, no who is able to learn one and dwell in the perfection of wisdom, the mind of our obscuration and thus without fear. Having completely passed beyond error and they reach the end point of nirvana, all the Buddhas who dwell in the three times also manifestly completely awakened, once the past perfect complete enlightenment relies on perfection of wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, unsurpassed mantra, the mantra of equal denying God, the mantra that falling identifies all suffering should be known as truth since it is not false. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is declared, Om Gadi Gadi Para Gadi Para Samgadi Godi Swaha. Shri Buddha, the Bodhisattva Master, should train us to perform professional business like that. Then Buddha arose in that concentration and commanded the Bodhisattva Master that we will teach Para, saying, well said, sons of lineage, just like that, it is like that. One should practice the profound professional wisdom just as we have indicated, even if the knowledge is rejoiced. The Buddha having thus spoken, the Venerable Buddha, the Bodhisattva Master, Bhagavad Gita, those surrounding the entirety, along with the word of God, humans are so as others, were overjoyed and highly praised they have spoken of the Buddha. But the teachings of the three supreme jewels possess the power of truth. Specified, may the host of 80,000 considerably classified, may we be separated from problems and conditions harmful to the Dharma, may all enjoyments be in order with the Dharma, may auspicious and perfect happiness pervade this place now. Okay, now today instead of 8 verses, we'll read the 3 principles of the path. The principal paths. Ascent 4. On the page 74. The three principal paths are the renunciation, bodhicitta, and Gueshe is the 3. And in a meditation we include the shamatha practice, making it 4. Otherwise, in terms of the main path, it's just 3 principal paths. Okay. This is an extremely important text, and particularly, say, in a very concise form, yet all the points are intact,
And to evaluate how much how good you are doing your practice, you read this and reflect on the points. This will be like a mirror for us to see that where I'm going wrong, where I should emphasize more. All this are clearly explained here in this text. I bow down to the Venerable Lamas. As well as I'm able, I will explain the essence of all the teachings of the Conqueror, a path praised by the Conqueror. Listen to the clear mind, you fortunate ones, who are not attached to the joys of separate existence. Strive to make good use of the opportunity. Direct your minds to the path that pleases the Lord. Without your renunciation and any good action, the pleasures of psychic existence is unattainable. The great existence of the highest being, thus from the outset seek renunciation. Reverse affection to decide, reflecting on how lecture and opportunity are difficult to find, and how life is ephemeral and without time. Reverse to action in future life, repeatedly thinking of the infallibility of karma and its effects, and the miseries of samsara. Contemplating thus, when for an instant you do not admire the splendors of psychic existence, and when intent on liberation day and night, then at that time the true renunciation is born in you. However, renunciation is not tempered by pure mind of bodhicitta, but not before the perfect bliss upon surpassing enlightenment. Therefore, wise ones generally dance in mud of bodhicitta, circle in the current of co-powerful rivers, hide the strongholds of karma so hard to undo, and stand within the iron net of self-grasping, completely enveloped by the thick darkness of ignorance. Born and reborn in boundless psychic existence, ceaselessly tormented by the three miseries. Begin from your mothers in this condition, generally the supreme mind of bodhicitta. Although you train in renunciation and mind of bodhicitta, without wisdom that realizes ultimate reality, you cannot cut the root of psychic existence. Therefore, try to realize dependent arising. While you sees the infallible cause and effect of all phenomena in samsara and nirvana, and destroys all focuses of apprehension, as entered the path that faces the Buddhas. Appearances are infallible dependent arising. Emptiness is understanding that is trivial assertions. As long as these two are seen as distinct, they have not yet realized the intent of the Buddhas. When these two realizations are concurrent, where the mere sight of infallible dependent origination concurrently destroys all modes of grasping with depth and discernment, at that time the analysis of the profound view is perfected. Furthermore, appearances refute the extreme of existence, emptiness refutes the extreme of non-existence. When you understand that emptiness arises in the form of all cause and effect, you are not captivated by the view of extremes. O my child, once you have realized seek solitude and cultivate strong determination and quickly reach the final inspired goal. Okay, page 34, 7 puja. Page 34. Page 34. Page 34. I bow down to you full-hearted revolutionary, true lines amongst humans, all of freedom in the present, past, and future, in the words of 10 directions, all of you with bodies, visions, the same mind, I bow down, with the energy or aspiration for the Bodhisattva way, with a sense of deep respect, and with as many bodies in the atoms of the world. To all you Buddhas visualize his real, I bow down. On every atom of Buddha's numberless as atoms, each of his host of Bodhisattvas, and I'm confident the sphere of all phenomena is entirely filled with the Buddhas in this way. To the infinite oceans of praise for you, and oceans of sound from the aspects of my voice, I sing the breathtaking excellence of Buddhas and celebrate all of you surround us. Beautiful flowers in wrinkled gardens, sweet music, scented lords and parasols, sparkling license of white incense, and I report to you the tourist ones of Buddhas. Fine dress and fragrant perfumes, sandalwood powder, heat ties, mount meals, all Buddha's offerings in spectacular array, offered to you the tourist ones, with twice offerings fearless and fast, with profound admiration for all the Buddhas, with strength of conviction in the Bodhisattva way, offer and bow down to all the tourist ones. Every harmful action I have done with my body, speech, and mind, all run by attachment, anger, and confusion, all these I put in the air before you.
I lift my heart and rejoice in all the merit of the Buddha's Bodhisattvas in 10 directions. Also to realize that here is still training to look beyond and avoid ordinary beings. You who are the bright lights of Buddhas in 10 directions, may attain the Buddha's omniscience through the stages of awakening. All you are my guides, please turn the supreme will of Dharma. That palms together I earnestly request the who may actualize Parinirvana. Please stay with us for eons and bodhisattvas into the world. For the happiness of our being, all wanderers in samsara. Whatever is slight merit I may have accumulated by making prostrations, offering, and confessing, rejoicing, requesting that the Buddha's day and teach, I now dedicate all this for the full awakening of all beings. For the money offering. This ground unknown is the perfume, children flowers, adorned with marbles, spoke ornaments, the sun and the moon. I imagine this is the word of an offering, and also chimneys and noise through them. Oh, such a becoming frustrated with ignorance and grasp the true existence. Please bless the genuine renunciation, seeing all aspects of samsara's conditions repulsive. Please bless me that my mind should be overflows with the precious Bodhicitta that cherishes others more than myself. Please bless me having an immaculate experience with the wisdom of emptiness that does not see even an atom of intrinsic reality, motivated to understanding how things come to being by dependent origination through mere conditioning. Please bless me that my mind should be overflows with the precious wisdom of the non-duality of bliss and emptiness. The foundation of all qualities. The foundation of all good qualities is a kind, perfect, pure Guru. Direct devotion to him is the root of power. But clearly seeing this and applying great effort, please bless me with light and great respect. Understanding that the precious freedom of the Shiva is found only once, is really very important and is difficult to find again. Please bless me to generate a mind that unceasingly and light takes its essence. This life is as it comes in this water bubble. Remember how quickly it takes when death comes. Until we are just like the shadow follows the body, the result versions of non-versions start to follow. Finding firm and definite conviction in this, please bless me always to be careful that confidence, even the slightest negativities, and accomplish all versions deeds. Some such splendors are unsatisfying and unreliable. Seeking them to door of all suffering. Recognizing these shortcomings, please bless me generate a strong wish for the bliss of liberation. Led by the spirit of mindfulness, alertness, and pure Krishna rise. The root of the teaching is keeping the breath of motion bounds. Please bless me to become this essential practice. Just as I fall into the sea of samsara, so that all other material beings. Please bless me to see this training supreme bodhicitta and merit the responsibility of creating creature beings. Even if I develop bodhicitta, but I don't practice the 3 times in morality, I'll do much enlightenment. With my clear recognition of this, please bless me to practice the Bodhisattva of laws with great energy. Once I classify the instructions to grow objects and correctly analyze the meaning of reality, please bless me to generate quickly within my mind stream a unified body, calm body, and special insight. Having begun the pure vessel by training in general power, please bless me to enter the holy gateway of the chosen ones, the supreme pleasure of the evil. At that time, the basis of accomplishment to attainments is taking pure vows of samaya, As I become firmly convinced of this, please bless me with content, sparks, and pleasures like my life. Then having realized the importance of three stages, essence of what I am, by practicing great energy in every one of the 4 sessions, please bless me to realize the teachings of the Holy Guru. I have the Gurus who showed the noble path, and the spiritual friends who practice it in long lives. Please bless me to pacify completely all our demonic hindrances. All my lives never separate from perfect Gurus, may enjoy the magnificent Dharma by completing the qualities of the stations of the heart and good activities of the Dharma.
The 4 points. First, meditation, single shamatha practice, followed by renunciation practice, on the basis of the 4 seals, followed by bodhicitta on the basis of the 4 vegetables, followed by emptiness, and then taking aspiration goes to the Lord. Okay, 5 minutes. Okay, body posture is fine, then focal point is fine. Focal point, tiny dot, tiny white dot, getting nourishing in the upper lip, multitasking, counting breath, while you focus your mind on the tiny dot, counting breath, breathe in, breathe out. We're going to do for 5 minutes. And then identify the areas of meditation, twofold, mental laxity and mental excitement, and applying the remedies, introspection and mindfulness. Okay, ready? 5 minutes. Next, for this single point meditation, I see that some of you are still keeping your eyes closed. Particularly for single point meditation, it is highly recommended that you keep your eyes open like this. That is for the analytical meditation, because your mind is very actively analyzing. Even if you keep your eyes closed, it doesn't really matter as much. But for single point meditation, because your mind is stilling. Because your mind is stilling, and then the eyes close, you can easily go into laxity or drowsiness or sleepiness. That will take you into sleepiness. So therefore, I see that your eyes are open. Okay. Next, the renunciation. Okay, ready? This is going to be guided meditation today, and tomorrow we will do without the instructions. A renunciation is to renounce the miseries, renounce your fears of life, not to renounce the happiness. To renounce the happiness, to renounce miseries, we need to know how to renounce the cause of the miseries. The Buddha so kindly and so wisely taught us that ye dharma he duprabhava. All these phenomena, particularly the phenomena of suffering and the fears, they arise from causes. Unless we deal with causes, we cannot get rid of this suffering altogether. So, the best way by which to cut the causes of suffering is by reflection on the 4 seals. And all the teachings on renunciation, meditation renunciation, for example, the practice taught by additionnaly and then followed by Lama Tsongkhapa, and the other great teachers like the teachers from Nyingma, Zapata Rinpoche, teachers from Ganyu, Thapo Rinpoche, and the teachers from Sakya, for example, Sachikumwa, Sakya Pandita. All these teachings, or these great masters' teachings, they were all grounded, teachings of renunciation, they were all grounded on the 4 seals. So we'll dive into the practice of the 4 seals. Of course, if you're doing loving practice and so forth, it's so good, so well designed. So for us, 1 is a direct teaching of Buddha. Number 2 is because the shortage of time, we'll dive into this more quickly. Will take less time. Okay. All composite things are impermanent. Composite things constituted of what is constituted of the physical particles and the mental segments, mental parts and mental segments. For example, your body constitutes of physical parts, and your mind gets constituted of the mental temporal parts. In yourself, you as I, this is constituted of both. So all what constitutes these physical and the mental parts should necessarily be permanent. And what today physics would identify, all the physical matters, although we see them so steady, but they are constantly in constant flux, like in vibration. This is what the Buddha taught 2,500 years ago. It's exactly what's being seen according to physics. This is reality. And then what is composite phenomenon should necessarily be impermanent, and this impermanence has 2 kinds, gross impermanence and subtle impermanence. It's very important for us to reflect on both. Initially the gross impermanence, and then followed by the subtle impermanence. Okay, beautiful day yesterday. We had time together in the class, then time together in the group discussion, where everybody smiled. There's such a joy there. There's such a feeling of growth. within our minds such a feel of reward, fulfillment, so that moment today is gone. And no doubt, in many places in France, many places elsewhere in the world, last night, yesterday, people must have gone into indulgence, like the nightclubs and so forth. Today they're all gone, that moment's gone. And just this morning I received a message that somebody who's a great supporter of Tibet House, they passed away. And this was bound to happen to all of us. When we fail to reflect on these points, then we tend to slide into indulgence. The moment somebody's in indulgence, it's as though the whole world is permanent, static, there's no change, no impermanence, no suffering. But this is totally the living in the bubble of illusion. And when the tragedy actually strikes, it's too late. Then we will simply end up in shock. And terrible, unrecoverable, irreparable trauma. And what's happened now actually happened 200 years ago in the past. They were kings, queens, they are the big ministers, they are the big, the owners of the properties, and so forth. Now, whether the aspirations were fulfilled or not, everyone was gone, everyone is gone now. Not even a single person is left today, who existed 200 years before. Who existed today, no one was there then. We have no clue what the 200 years ago our time was like. It's just went into memory. And not only that, we are no exception. 200 years later in the time, in the future, all 7 billion human beings, not even a single person is going to be left there. Guaranteed. This is impermanent. And the beautiful sunset disappears. Beautiful moments disappear. And as we grow older, we ruminate over the past, youth time, the peak of our career. And even before that, where everybody loved you, all those moments are gone. This is impermanent. The Buddha said, all what stands will fall, all what gathers will disperse. All youth will follow old age. All arising will be followed by cessation. Birth will end in death. This is the impermanence. This is the truth of the impermanence. Failing to reflect on these points, one will not prepare oneself for the future. The wise one will think about these, reflect in advance, and prepare for the general good. This is what the Buddha very clearly taught in the text, very precious text, Dhammapada. Is so precious. We must read that and reflect on life on the basis of this Dhammapada, the text, precious text. The obvious change that we see, the gross impermanence that we see, is possible only if there's the subtle impermanence underlying that. What is the subtle impermanence? It's the transitoriness or the momentariness of all the composite phenomena. For example, the change that you see in your body, you may be 20 years old now, 30 years old, 40 years old, 50 years old, 60 years old. The change that is happening within you was possible only if there was a change happening within you yearly, annually. This annual change is possible only if there was a change within your body, within your mind, the world, happening on a monthly basis. which in turn is possible only through change up on a weekly basis, daily basis, hourly basis, minute basis, second basis, millisecond basis. Millisecond basis means so fast. This is reality. We never thought about this. This is reality that our bodies move so fast. Sometimes it's very good to reflect on this. So fast. There's nothing there as a substantial phenomenon, as a composite phenomenon. A sitting, static. Everything is like vibration. This is a fact. And if you realize this, our life can become very easy. All the unnecessary toils, many of the unnecessary toils will dissolve, will fade away from your mind. This will leave ample of space and time for you. And that time and space that you're left with can be used for the Dharma practice. It's so meaningful. So we see that our body is vibrating, our mind is vibrating, whole universe, whole world is vibrating, your friends are vibrating, the center is vibrating, everywhere it's just vibration. What we see as so static is just illusion. In reality, everything is vibrating. It's not like we are moving we are going in a very fast moving train. Very fast moving. Faster the train moves, more the fear, because we don't know who the driver is. If the driver happens to be your parents, of course, is so meritorious that they will take you to the picnic spot. But if the driver is the terrorist, a doctor, will only take us to the torture chamber. Unfortunately, in that case, the driver is the mind, and this mind is under the domination, under the sway of the two demons. Two contaminations, the worst of contaminations, self-grasping ignorance and self-centered attitude. As long as we are under this driver of the self-grasping and the self-centered attitude, we will never be free. It will only take us into suffering, only take us into the torture chamber. And faster you see the train moving, more the fear. And indeed, this reality. This train of a body, this train of a mind is moving so fast. Moving towards what? Moving towards death. And what's after death? We don't know. We are not prepared. This is what is meant by all contaminated things are suffering nature. What is under the sphere of contaminations, particularly the two demons, we can't expect the demons will take us to the happy spot. They will only take us to suffering. Suffering like what? Sickness, aging, death, tension, depression, anxiety, anguish, lamentation, the loss of me and dear ones, and so forth, meeting all the undesirable things, and being deprived of all the happiness. This is the legacy of the two demons, self-grasping and self-centered attitude. And in fact, the wise people will feel disillusioned even by one moment of the pains. For example, one moment of the pain of losing near and dear ones is good enough to see all the world as gloomy, all the world as meaningless, vacuum and shadow. All our past merriments, all our past jubilants, celebrations, anniversaries, and the wedding anniversaries and so forth, they are all just like illusions, so shallow, so meaningless, in the face of even one moment of tragedy. This is what we are, where we are. This is the meaning of all contaminated things of suffering nature. And how many such problems are there? How many such painful, agonizing miseries are there? Endlessly many. Endlessly many. Yes, that's very true. It's very tiring to hear that. It's very exhausting, very tired, so heavy. When will that come to an end? 2018 came to an end automatically. However long that is, it came to an end automatically. Imperialism, the age of imperialism, came to an end now. However painful that was, it came to an end.
Likewise, when will this pain of sickness, aging, death, agonizing pain, all this come to an end? No, this will never come to an end on its own, unless until you put some effort. What kind of effort is required? Yes, the way the Buddha taught, the Buddha so kindly advised us, all these phenomena arise from the causes. Bring an end to the cause of these miseries. Identify the cause and eradicate the cause. What is their cause? Their self-grasping ignorance, tempered by the self-centered attitude. What is the self-grasping ignorance? Self-grasping ignorance is the ignorance which blinds us from having the vision of the reality. How to get rid of this? By introducing the counterforce. What's the counterforce? The wisdom. What is this wisdom? Wisdom is a discerning mind whose apprehension of the object tallies with the reality. What's the reality? The reality is what the Buddha taught as the third seal. Everything is a relation of emptiness and selflessness. What do you mean by emptiness and selflessness? Okay, let us quickly meditate on the emptiness of one of your best friends, or somebody who is closest to you, like your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your husband, your wife, your child. Okay, just bring this person next to you, just in front of you in your visualization, the person who you love so much. Okay, how does this person appear to you? Like a dream, like a movie being projected by the projector, your mind is a projector, and this person is projected by your mind, or you see that person so objectified there, so solidified there. Of course, not at all, nothing to do with my mind, so objectified there. This is how this person appears to me. Okay, so this is known as self-grasping. Seeing this person as so objectified and believing that it exists that way, and apprehending this person to exist that way, this is known as self-grasping. How can I know that this is self-grasping? How can I know that this is not valid? This perception is not valid. Okay, let us not say this is total misconception. We just really try to evaluate. How to evaluate? Remember what Aranagarjuna said. If the mirage were to be water, why not those close by the mirage see water? If the mirage were to be water, why not those close by the mirage see water? If you see me in water from 1 kilometer away, how do you evaluate that I'm in water, or what do you see just mirage? How do you evaluate that? The best thing is come closer to from where this water appears. Come closer to where the water appears from, you see that there's nothing really there, it's so dry. From this, what you realize, earlier what you saw as water was just illusion, what just your mind has including. It is not really true. With the same token of reasoning, we apply this to this person, that the one you love the most. If this person would exist objectively, why don't I see this person as I go closer to this object? With this reasoning, let us go closer to this person. Going closer to this person, let us just ignore all those things which are not this person. We are only interested in this person. Going closer to this person, we see a very thin layer of the skin. Of course, that is not this person to the side. Behind there is the fatty tissues. Of course, it's so scary to see that. Some of you might have seen people having some cut on the body, skin, and then the fatty tissues inside, they come out. So scary, so repulsive to look at. Of course, this is not this person. Give that aside. Behind that is the cartilages and the muscles, the flesh. Of course, no. That is so scary to look at. Give that aside. Then behind there is the skeleton, the bones, the skull, the vertebrae, the ribs, the limb, the bones of the limbs. Of course, if the skeleton alone comes to you, it's so scary, you run away. Of course, it's not that person. But the person in front of me is somebody who is so appealing to me. The skeleton is not at all appealing. Keep that aside. What is left now? Heart, the lungs, the spleen, the gallbladder, the stomach, kidney, pancreas. None of these solid parts is in the brain. None of these solid parts is that person. Give them aside. Okay, these solid parts which constitute the element of earth, none of this is this person. Guaranteed. Keep them aside. Now the element of water, the blood, which is like 4.6 liters in average. 4.6 liters of water, the blood that you have in the body, pumped in and out by the heart to different parts of the body. Of course, that is not me. Of course, that is not this person. Keep that aside. Then the element of fire, the body heat. Of course, that is also not that person. Keep that aside. Then the element of air, the air breathed in and out by that person through the lungs. Of course, that is not that person. Keep that aside. Element of space, the space, the hollow part of the body. I'm a solid person. That person is a solid person, and his hollow is vacuum in nature. So this element of space is also not that person. Keep it aside. What is left now? Only the consciousness is left. Of course, this person is male. This person is a female. But it's this. The mind does not gender. His or her mind does not gender. Gender is posited on the basis of the body. If this mind is also not that person, keep that aside. And nobody can see his or her mind, but people can see him or her. So even the mind or the consciousness is also not that person, keep that aside. What is left now? Nothing is left there. Where is this person? This person dissipates, is empty. Stay in this experience for a while. Okay, what's the benefit of this meditation? Okay, in this meditation, to my surprise, to my amazement, I thought that this person exists so objectively. Now, to my amazement, I discovered that this person is empty objectively. Objectively, the person is not really there. The person is empty. The person does exist, but not at all from the object. If it does exist, and not at all from the object, only, and by default, it exists subjectively, it exists subjectively. The object is purely empty, totally, completely empty. So just as this person, I discovered this empty there. My emotional state of attachment dissolves. Instead, that attachment dissolves. Likewise, all the fears that we can think of, sickness, aging, death, and the mental pains, very agonizing mental pains, mental feelings, painful feelings that we feel. If we subject them to this same analysis, we'll see that even these mental pains will dissolve. The moment the mental pain dissolves in the experience of emptiness, a very light feeling will fill your body, fill your mind with the light feeling. It's an amazing, peaceful experience. Okay, in this experience of emptiness, all miseries, however innumerable they are, they will all dissolve in this experience. All mental disturbance will dissolve. All sorrow will dissolve. This is what transcends the sorrow. Transcending sorrow is the absolute peace. This is what we're experiencing. Stay in this experience. Then in this experience of emptiness, all sorrow dissolves. All mental disturbance dissolve. Stay in this experience. The cessation of all suffering, cessation of all the cause of suffering, in the experience of emptiness. This is the final understanding of Nirvana. And the aspiration to experience, to achieve that state of experience of emptiness where all the miseries dissolve. This is the final understanding of renunciation. This is the most refined understanding of renunciation. While oftentimes we have the understanding, renunciation means to renounce suffering, to renounce the aspiration for this life, renounce infatuation, attachment to this life, renounce attachment and so forth. They are all understanding of the renunciation on a cursory form. In the final version, most refined version of the renunciation is wanting to renounce or wanting to achieve, aspiration to achieve the state of this cessation of suffering and its causes in the experience of this emptiness. This is the final understanding of renunciation. Stay in this experience for a while. Okay, slowly come on into meditation. Okay, now we will move to the Bodhicitta practice. Okay, ready? Good. Reinforce the visualization of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in front of you. And so loving, so caring, embracing you with total focus of attention and love. And visualize your two parents, your children, your family members, and all dear sentiments around you. And you, so loving and caring to us all, the dear sentient beings. And this practice is to eradicate the self-centered attitude. Buddhist mind, we're going to do. And after the practice, after the teaching of the two methods to generate bodhicitta, then it's highly recommendable that at home you practice the bodhicitta methods properly. And what we're going to do now is going to be like the supplement, it's going to be like the preliminary practice for the bodhicitta, the two methods. But here we need to do the four seals and then end with the bodhicitta aspiration. Okay. Immeasurable loving kindness. How good would it be that all my dear sentient beings are endowed with happiness and the causes of happiness. Causes of happiness such as good health, facilities for food, education, and the peace of mind. And finally, the wisdom of emptiness and the bodhicitta, the birth of Mother Bodhicitta. May all my dear sentient beings be endowed with happiness and the cause of happiness. I'll take the responsibility that all my dear sentient beings are endowed with happiness and the cause of happiness. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, like the mother after all these many years of raising her children with tremendous hardship, the eldest daughter, eldest son, just such a tender age 12, 13, they come to you and tell you, Mother, please take rest, you have done everything for us. We're already grown up, I'll take care of my siblings. I'll take care of you, Mother also. Mother, please rest well. We love you so much, you love us so much, we love you so much. Just imagine how the mother could not believe her eyes and ears. What's happening today? With so much of joy, tears rolled down her cheeks. This is exactly what is happening to all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. They are so happy today. Seeing that we make such a courageous commitment to take the responsibility for all human sentient beings, this intense love and the pride that all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas feel invoke the compassion of mission minds to send for nectars and soothing lights towards you and all human sentient beings. The mere touch of the lights and the nectars with the Bodhicittas yours instills in all happiness and the cause of happiness in the master sentient beings yourself. And you witnessing such a miraculous happening across all of human sentient beings, you are intensely happy. Take 3 deep breaths. Immeasurable compassion. How good would it be that all my dear sentient beings are freed from suffering and the cause of suffering, such as sickness, aging, death, hunger, thirst, bully, and so forth, and fears, and finally the self-grasping ignorance, self-grasping ignorance which attracts all the fears of life, self-centered attitude which pushes away all the happiness. May all my dear sentient beings be freed from suffering and the cause of suffering. I'll take the responsibility that all my dear sentient beings are freed from suffering and the causes of suffering. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas witnessing them, that you are making such a courageous commitment, they intensely happy and proud of you. This pride and happiness invoke the compassion of mission minds. The sense of nectars very sweetly lights towards you and all human sentient beings. The mere touch of lights and nectars with the Bodhisattvas in yours washes away all the miseries and the cause of miseries from the human sentient beings in yourself. And you witness in such a miracle happening towards all of human sentient beings, you are intensely happy. Take 3 deep breaths, sigh with relief. Next, immeasurable joy. How good would it be that all my dear sentient beings are never separated from happiness and the causes of happiness that they endowed with. May all my dear sentient beings never be separated from happiness and the causes of happiness that they endowed with. I'll take the responsibility that all my dear sentient beings are never separated from happiness and the causes of happiness that they endowed with. It may sound, for some it may sound a little superficial. It doesn't matter. This always starts with a superficiality and then eventually becomes real. This is like practicing the music. Practicing the instruments, musical instruments. At first there's no music. We practice it. Eventually it becomes so pleasant music. This is the only way. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas witnessing the living such a gracious commitment intensely happy and proud of you. This pride and happiness invoke the compassionate mission minds to ascend from nectar as a very soothing light between you and all the sentient beings. The mere touch of light and nectar as with the box brings you yours stabilizes the happiness and the causeless happiness that the beings are endowed with. And you're witnessing that such miraculous happenings towards all of human sentient beings. You're intensely happy. Take 3 deep breaths, sigh with relief. Next image about equanimity. How good would it be that all material sentient beings are freed from the biased attitude of excessive attachment to some and aversion to others? Instead, abide in the great state of equanimity, embracing all other dear sentient beings with total love and affection. May all my dear sentient beings be free from suffering and be free from the biased attitude of excessive attachment to some and aversion to others. I will take the responsibility that all my dear sentient beings are freed from the biased attitude of excessive attachment to some and aversion to others. The Buddhas and Bodhisattas witnessing the doing with such a courageous commitment, they intensely happy and proud of you. This pride and happiness invoke the compassionate mission minds, present for nectars, for soothing lights to you and all human sentient beings. The mere touch of lights and nectars with the bodies means yours frees the beings from the biased attitude of excessive attachment to some and aversion to others, and making them abide in the great state of equanimity, embracing all other human sentient beings equally, leaving them aside. And you witnessing such a miracle is happening to all the human sentient beings. You are intensely happy. Take 3 deep breaths, sound the relief. Underscoring all the immeasurable four immeasurables is the unconditional love towards all human sentient beings. Abide in this experience of the unconditional love. This is the ground for the Bodhicitta, the most beautiful mind in this world, this Bodhicitta, which wishes to become Buddha for the benefit of all human sentient beings. With folded hands, we'll make the commitment, Bodhicitta commitment, this beautiful Bodhicitta commitment 3 times together. May I become Buddha for the benefit of all my dear sentient beings. May I become Buddha for the benefit of all my dear sentient beings. May I become Buddha for the benefit of all my dear sentient beings. Abide in this beautiful mind of Bodhicitta, the most beautiful mind that can possibly exist in this universe, the Bodhicitta. Slowly transform this beautiful mind of Bodhicitta into a spotlessly clean moon disk, 1 inch, 1.5 inches in diameter, horizontally sitting on your heart. Okay, it's amazing that you made such a courageous commitment to become Buddha for the all sentient beings. But no matter how much you squeeze a handful of sand, no oil will come out of that. Likewise, how do we know that Buddhahood will come out? You can achieve Buddhahood. Yes, that's true. I'm not like a handful of sand, as I'm like a handful of sunflower seeds. After Buddha nature inside me, if I put effort, this Buddha nature can come out in the form of full-fledged Buddhahood. Yes, that's fine, but why, if there is this Buddha energy within you, why not? It manifested till now, since time immemorial till now, it never became manifest. It never become manifest. Yes, that's true. It's for the reason that it's not because that I don't know Buddha energy. It's all because that I thought the two demons grasping the self-centered attitude. These two are the best of my friends. Today I'm disillusioned by that. These are no more my friends. I now realize that these two are the demons. They never did anything good to me. They only attracted suffering on me. They only attracted suffering on me, create suffering on others. Now I'm going to exterminate the two demons. I want to do that by introducing a very forceful counter force, which is the wisdom of emptiness. What is this wisdom of emptiness? Let's quickly retrieve the experience of emptiness which you meditated as the third seal. The meditation on the emptiness of the one who you loved the most. Okay, visualize that person in front of you. From our past experience, we know that now this person is nothing but made of 6 elements. Element earth, water, fire, space, air, and consciousness. Tell me, which of the 6 elements of that person is this person? None. And then besides, keeping aside the 6 elements, where's this person? Nothing is left there as the person besides 6 elements. Now from the object, where's this person? To my amazement, it disappeared. It's empty, it's not there. I'm discovering it. I'm not inventing it, I'm discovering it. Okay, stay in this experience that this person is objectively empty. Slowly transform this fearless mind, the most fearless mind of the wisdom of emptiness, into a spotlessly clean, thumb-sized white water, vertically sitting on the moon to scale your heart. It's amazing that you have the moon will symbolize the conventional Bodhicitta, the desire to become Buddha for the 4 sentient beings. And you have this Vajra symbol, which is symbolic of the ultimate Bodhicitta, the wisdom, non-dual wisdom of emptiness. Amazing. To cut the self-grasping, the self-centered attitude, and that your Buddha energy inside, the golden sun, will glow perfectly, infinitely. Yes, that's amazing. But what about all my dear sentient beings around me? All the beings, all the sentient beings who I love so much. That's true, of incredibly great compassion. Let us invoke the Vajra moon into your heart to multiply infinite number of times. She once said it was your moon at the heart of your mother. One said with your father at his heart. One said with each one of your children, each one of your family members, with each one of the people, the human beings, insects, the spirits, honeybees, hell beings, gods and goddesses here in Kalachakra Center, in France, in the entire world, in the entire universe. Wow, it's amazing. Now all such beings, they have their share of the Russian moon. This is your gift. So kind. I'm so happy today. I feel worth living. I did something so amazing. Yes, that's so good. Let us also not forget that all Buddhist Bodhisattvas, they're watching us. Yes, why not we invite them as a guest, as a witness to our undertaking the ceremony of the aspiration Bodhisattva vow. So, as a gesture of requesting them, along with all request all Bodhisattvas, along with all the sentient beings, let us slowly get up to make 3 prostrations to all Bodhisattvas.
on your right knees. Okay, those of us who have the knee problem, backache problem, any problem, you sit in the most comfortable position. And those of us who sit on your right knees, in between, if you start to feel pain, then switch to a comfortable position. Okay, page 47. Reinforce the visualization of Bodhicittas in front of you, so loving, so caring. The way the child, a very young, tender child, age 5 or age 4 or age 6, for the first time coming out for a public performance, so nervous, and the parents would tell the child, oh, have no nervousness, we are there, we are so proud of you, giving such mental strength, support, more support, strength. And the parents, no matter what urgent work they have in the office, they simply they leave them and then come as an audience, waving their hands to you, reassuring you that we are here, you are doing so good, perfect, we are here, we are so proud of you, giving such a reassurance. This is what all the Bodhisattas, they are watching us, giving such a reassurance to us, so very loving parents, and you as a very young, tender child for the first time making public performance. Yes, so this is how all the Bodhisattas, they are watching us here today, including His Holiness the Dalai Lama, whose birthday we are celebrating today. And likewise, all your two parents, your children, your family members, and all dear sentient beings living on the side, including the most difficult people in your life. And here, they behave as so difficult people because they have never come across the teaching of the Buddha. Even they've come across the teaching of the Buddha, but they did not really get the opportunity to feel the taste of the Buddha's teachings. It's just going on superficially. So they really deserve your compassion. Whereas you, on the other hand, you got opportunity for all these to feel the taste of the flavor of the Buddha's teachings, and the opportunity for us to take this aspirational Buddhas of the vow. So let's interact with compassion for all human sentient beings, and you, although you are a very tender young child, you are encouraging all your siblings, all the human sentient beings to take part in this such a noble gesture, noble activity of taking this vow. So with this mind, you are leading this, and all sentient beings are joining you, and all the Buddhas and Bodhisattas, like parents, they are watching us with tremendous excitement and joy. So the first stanza we're going to read 3 times, where the meaning is well reflected. I go for refuge to the true object. I confess the negatives in the journey. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings, and all the virtues of the world in my heart. I go for refuge to the true object. I confess the negatives individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings, and all the virtues of the world in my heart. I go for refuge to the true object. I confess the negatives individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings, and all the virtues of the world in my heart. Or the next 2 stanzas, the actual ceremony. The first line invokes the Buddhist and Bodhisattas, Bodhisattas, please pay to me. And the next 2 stanzas, let's make sure that we reflect the meaning so well. This is the most important part. In the process, if you feel a little pain, deal with your legs and so forth, you take the most comfortable position. And the 2 lines, the 2 stanzas. The first stanza pertaining to the Buddhas, the second stanza pertaining to yourself. The first stanza, how the Buddhas, so compassionate Buddhas, how they successively become enlightened, like the Buddha Shakyamuni. Just one young prince died,
becoming Buddha is able to benefit millions, trillions, and innumerable beings, infinite number of beings. Amazing, the amazing radiance of activities of this enlightened Buddha. So how come that he was able to do that? Okay, for two reasons. One, the motivation, and number two is the action. The motivation, he was driven with a very powerful motivation of Bodhicitta. Great compassion feeling, wanting to become Buddha for the benefit of sentient beings. He generated very strong motivation of Bodhicitta, and to materialize the aspiration of this motivation of Bodhicitta, he actually engaged in the Bodhisattva deeds such as the 6 professions and the 4 professions making 10. It is how, so now he becomes such a reliable guide to guide innumerable beings, infinite beings, to the perfect, the paradise of the awakening and the bliss of happiness. Wow, if this is how he succeeded, I'll follow his footsteps. I'll also generate very strong motivation Bodhicitta to become Buddha for the benefit of sentient beings, and to materialize this aspiration, I'll also engage in the Bodhisattva deeds, such as 6 professions, 4 professions, total 10. And then as you recite this, how to say this, and do the third repetition, and the last 2 lines, you visualize that imagine that you visualize you've received the aspiration Bodhisattva vow, and feel that tremendous joy of having received that. Okay. All sentient beings are joining you, and you are living this, and all Bodhisattvas, they are watching us with so much love and care.
Gurus, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, please pay heed to me. Just the previous Buddhas have generated Mana Bodhicitta, and just as they successfully dwelt in the Bodhisattva practices, likewise for the benefit of all sentient beings, and I can generate Mana Bodhicitta, and likewise shall I do successfully follow the Bodhisattva practices. Gurus, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, please pay heed to me. Just as previous Buddhas have generated Mana Bodhicitta, and just as they successfully dwelt in the Bodhisattva practices, likewise for the benefit of all sentient beings, I will generate Mana Bodhicitta, and likewise shall I do successfully follow the Bodhisattva practices. Gurus, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, please pay heed to me. Just as previous Buddhas have generated Mana Bodhicitta, and just as they successfully follow the Bodhisattva practices, likewise for the benefit of all sentient beings, I will generate Mana Bodhicitta, and likewise shall I do successfully follow the Bodhisattva practices.
Feel the joy of having received the Bodhisattva vow. The Bodhisattvas, they are so happy, so proud of what you've done today. And this pride and happiness the Bodhisattvas feel today, the way the mother feels after all these many years of getting complaints from the school about your child, about the daughter, about the son being so mischievous, always bringing problems. And today the school principal comes to the mother, and the mother again becomes so nervous and apprehensive. And this time it's very different. The school principal comes with such the gentleness, courtesy, and smile on her face. And the mother could not believe what's happening. Again, what kind of complaints? The principal said, no, not at all. Your daughter and your son, 2 of them are appointed as the best of the students of this school for this year. The mother could not believe her eyes and ears. All these innumerable times, we only brought complaints, embarrassments to all the Bodhisattvas who loved us so much. And today we did something which the Bodhisattvas, they could not believe. They felt so proud of you, so happy. What a jubilance that they feel today. So with this incredible pride and happiness that they feel, invoke the Vipassana moon at their hearts to multiply infinite number of times. In mirage, like rain shower, these replicas of Vipassana moon, they descend to merge with the one that which is to heart, like rain shower. They by blessing become non-dual and stabilized. Likewise in mirage, all these replicas of Vipassana moon from Buddha's Bodhisattvas in like rain shower, they descend To merge with the one that visualize the heart of your mother. Merge with the one that visualize the heart of your father. With each one of your children, your family members, and all dear essential beings. Leaving them aside. Amazing. Of all the innumerable gifts that you can think of, this is the greatest gift that you're giving. This is the greatest gift that you can possibly give. And today, you gifted this gift to all the essential beings of the innumerable offerings that exist in this universe. This is the greatest offering that you can imagine. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, they only expect this offering. All others are trivial. This is the best offering that can possibly think of to offer it to Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And today you did it. And for yourself, it's the greatest meaning out of your life. You have given such a meaning to your life, extracted such a meaning out of life. Amazing, so wise. This is the meaning of being so wise and kind to yourself. And all these wonderful things are happening because of the kindness of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and for us particularly, His Holiness the Dalai, whose birthday we are celebrating today. As a gesture of thanking all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, along with all the other sentient beings, slowly let us get up to 2 prostrations. Please take your seats. Page 48. The stanza for us to connect us with the practice of Bodhicitta, otherwise known as emptiness, in the future lives. I must say this 3 times so heartily. Throughout my future lifetimes, may I always be guided by the compassionate Buddha and be able to uphold the true practice of Bodhicittas even at the cost of my life. Throughout my future lifetimes, may I always be guided by the compassionate Buddha and be able to uphold the true practice of Bodhicittas even at the cost of my life. Throughout my future lifetimes, may I always be guided by the compassionate Buddha and be able to uphold the true practice of Bodhicittas even at the cost of my life. In order to further increase bodhicitta from now on, those with discernment will lucidly seize and awaken the mind of bodhicitta in this way, should highly praise the Father. Today my life has borne fruit, and having obtained this human existence, I have been born in the family of the Buddha, and now I am one of the Buddha's children. Thus whatever actions I do from now on must be in accord with the family. Never shall I disgrace or pollute his noble and unsullied traits. Just like blind person discovering true and evil rubbish, likewise by some coincidence an awakening mind has been born within me. It is the supreme ambrosia that overcomes the sovereignty of death, is the inexhaustible treasure that eliminates all poverty in the world, is the supreme medicine that cures the world's disease, is the tree that shelters all beings wandering and tired on the path of conditioned existence, is the universal bridge that leads to freedom from unhappy states of birth, is the dawning morn of mind that dispels the torment of disturbing conceptions, is the great sun that finally removes the misty ignorance of the world, is the finishes of water from the journey of the middle Dharma. For all those guests traveling on the path of conditioned existence, who wish to experience the boundless of happiness, this will satisfy them with joy, and shall place them in supreme bliss. Today, in the presence of all the protectors, and by the world of the guests, at a festival of temporary and ultimate delight, may God's living cause in all be joyful. I dedicate the merit thus gathered to the realization that is through the prayers of the Buddhas and Bodhisattas of 3 times, and to the upholding of doctrine, scripture, and insight. May I in all life through the form of this merit, never separate from the progress of the mind and ego, and accomplish all the stations of the path, realization, Bodhicittas, cultivated through stages. No much request to pass the space that I've asked, from working with effort at this practice for a great length of time, may I become the living Buddha for all those whose minds have